Look, there's a narrative out there that says defensive coaches can't be successful head coaches in the modern day NFL. You buy that?
No,
with
I don't.
Sean McDermott?
No, I don't buy that. In fact, I would make the argument the opposite, right? Like, a defensive head coach has to let go of more things offensively, right? If you don't know of what you speak, you have to rely on other people. And I am convinced that the best NFL coaches throughout history, at least the ones that we know are good and weren't relying on talent, are guys that are open to different ideas. Andy Reid's a perfect example of that. I think Sean McDermott is as well. Like, you see Sean McDermott bring in a guy like Josh Allen with no offensive expertise in any way. And Josh Allen broke math. Went from a guy who was a sure bust to a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And I think you see this over and over and over again with different teams. I think the collaboration is more important than having a brilliant offensive mind, and you only need to point to places like Arizona recently, places like Los Angeles with the Chargers recently to prove the point.
I'll go back even a decade ago, and when the Patriots were on the run, their head coach was a defensive coach. And it's so interesting. He found the right offensive guy and the right offensive mind, still looking for that now, and the right quarterback, obviously that helps too, and a healthy one, to make it all work. So I don't really buy this thing. They had this thing, to Duffy's point, they've had this thing before about defensive coaches and all these different things that they need to do, find the right offensive mind, these creative minds. Then when those offensive minds get head coaching positions, they turn out to be terrible.
Yes.
So it's been a disaster for years. I just think this is just a trend thing with what the Rams did last year and where obviously Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are right now. And the way they look now, it just looks like offensive.
And yeah, part of this that I subscribe to is, and I see it as a fix, is why a defensive head coach doesn't draft almost exclusively offensive. They go the other way because they know defense, they draft into defense. But if you drafted into offense on the belief that you can yourself make the defense better, that would be a way to go. But they don't do it. These defensive head coaches, McDermott, drafting defensive linemen and all the rest, that's what they do.
And I think the problem is, and you're right, the Bills are a perfect example of this. You think you see something, right? This is a toy that you can use to make your side of the ball dominant. You see offensive players do it the same way. Maybe it's hard for these defensive coaches, head coaches, if they have the final say in who they're going to take, to see what an offensive coach would see, but I think sometimes it's too hard to turn down a toy that you know you can do special things with, and maybe that's the blind spot that would cause problems.
Well, it's also, look at what the Steelers are doing right now. I never bet against Mike Tomlin, but great defensive coach, great defensive head coach, but offensively, you lose that one player, maybe the quarterback that puts it all together, wide receivers, those little, that the way they run the football there, they might have to change their offensive philosophy for their brand new quarterback going forward, but it proves your point. And I think the same thing, when you look at McDermott and Frazier, defensively, you got it. All it takes is for your quarterback to connect all the dots. Josh Allen didn't have that the week that they needed it. I mean, the offense didn't have it the week they needed it. And they needed their defense to step up. And their defense was injured. And then, of course, you run into the perfect storm, a team you know you could beat, but you couldn't because you couldn't have the offense. You didn't have the defense.
Just quickly, as you head into 2023, is McDermott in trouble? Was there any heat?
No, are you out of your... How dare you?
Yes, he is.
6 years in.
Oh, yes, he is.
He's 6 years in.
Okay.
Was this supposed to be the year? It was. Is it the year? No. Is next year the year? It better
guys,
be.
I don't want to go too deep into it, but clearly you think he is.
I think he is.
What are you basing that on?
Basing on the fact you haven't gotten to the Super Bowl yet. That's why. And you were supposed to get there this year. You didn't get there this year. And I know it pains for me to bring that up for you. I'm sorry.
Lost your offensive coordinator, replaced him with a guy that had no experience, who still performed
and got better at offense.
Who still performed admirably. You had 3 road games in 12 days. You won all 3 of those. You had a guy literally die on the field, and you're gonna tell me that he's on the hot seat? Who do you replace him with right now? Give me somebody better.
I mean,
they're all gone. They got head coaching jobs.
I understand. Let's say they miss the playoffs next year.
We have a lot of time to discuss that.
Who is it? Name right now.
He hasn't been fired yet.
Name me a single coach who's better. Go. Thank you. Done.